Jai Shri Ram, GRE essay and the assessment that the ETS chaps, there are two professors who are going to independently assess your response. And before the professors assess it, there is a software called e-rater, electronic rater. The average of these three will be your score. This electronic rater is a software which is fed with obviously a lot of instructions. So it looks for GODAV. That's a mnemonic I've created to make it easier for you to remember what the assessment criteria are. G stands for grammar. I don't have to explain that. Your sentences should be grammatically correct. O means organized response, which means there must be at least 6 paragraphs. If you can write more, that will be better. Because statistically, students who have written more have got better scores, which is something we learnt in school. Ekku raste ekku markuలు వస్తాయి. So organized response ante there must be a clear introduction where you take a position, where you take a clear stand. Instead of creating any suspense, you should clearly spell out what your stance is with respect to the topic. Let me tell you, all topics are very, very moot. M-O-O-T. Moot is a word which has two meanings. Moot means debatable, not yet settled, undecided, open for debate. Moot also means no point debating, no use debating. That means currently we should stop debating that and think about what next to do. So moot is a funny word. Two meanings it has got. These two meanings look like they are opposites of each other. So be careful with this word moot. All the topics in the GRE essay pool are very moot topics in the sense that they are debatable. But the instruction given to you is, to what extent are you accepting? To what extent will you agree with the speaker? Give your reasons and examples. That's the instruction. My standard instruction is never fully agree, never fully disagree with anything. Make sure that in your introduction you make a clear statement that there are multiple perspectives that have to be examined, and also the speaker's idea is indeed very moot, and therefore one cannot generalize and state that it is wholly right or wrong. So something like this you must write. I am deliberately using some words so that, for example, I said generalize. Now generalization. A generalization simply means a statement that tries to describe all phenomena. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction is called a generalization. That is scientific and we accept it because there is evidence for that. But when you say all Indians are lazy, no, not acceptable. Most Indians are lazy, perhaps yes. So wherever you see words like all, every, or even without all and every, suppose I say Indians are lazy, again wrong. Because generalizations are always very difficult to defend unless they are very scientific and supported with evidence. So you will find that the speaker statements are all generalizations. So you must attack them by using the phrase, the speaker makes a sweeping generalization. Please make a note of this phrase. Sweeping generalization, hasty generalization, over generalization. I just said three phrases. Sweeping generalization, hasty generalization, over generalization. You must try using all these three words throughout your response. Never use the same word two times. All these three words basically means a statement which cannot be defended, which is trying to describe or broad brush everybody. All people of this group are like this. Now that is a generalization. Usually that can't be defended. Okay. So organized response, I am talking about your introduction. In your introduction, you take a clear stand and say that there are multiple dimensions, multiple perspectives that have to be explored, And in fact, what the speaker says is true in some circumstances but not in all. So that is how your introduction should be. The introduction should be about 4 sentences. And immediately you go into the next paragraph. You should start each paragraph using some words which are called semantic markers or transitional words. Words like firstly, second paragraph should start with secondly, third paragraph will start with thirdly, fourth paragraph can start with fourthly, fifth paragraph can start with additionally, and the conclusion should start with in conclusion. Are you able to hear me? So I'm giving you some very simple, clear instructions. If you follow these, the software will be very happy with you and you should get a good score. Out of 6, if you can manage 4 or 5, that will be very good. Very rarely do students get 6 out of 6. So these are called transitional words. Second paragraph you will say, first of all, blah blah blah, therefore, next sentence, blah blah blah, however, blah blah blah, and in the light of these examples, blah blah blah. So blah blah is also an English word, B-L-A-H, B-L-A-H. Blah blah basically means nonsense. Nonsense. Continuously talking nonsense. So anyway, so the structure of your first paragraph I just give you. It should be, you can remember a mnemonic. Again, for the paragraph structure, PREP, point, reason, example, point. When you are writing paragraphs, the first sentence should introduce your point. For example, let us examine the benefits of A. That is the point. Second sentence will be reasons. A is good for health because A contains LMNOP. Third sentence is examples. A was administered to a group of people who were suffering from this particular condition, and within 2 weeks their condition improved, and so it was scientifically validated that A is a wonderful cure for people suffering from this condition. So that's the example. And the last sentence is the point again, PREP, point, reason, example, point. So in the light of the reasons and examples above, it is safe to conclude that A is a good remedy for this particular illness. So that is a very simple format structure I'm explaining. Try to stick to this structure. And suppose you want to continue talking about A, don't conclude the first paragraph with P. Further examples can be taken. So that is how you write your second paragraph. So PREP formula for each paragraph. Point, reason, examples, point. So if you write like this, a clear introduction, 4 or 5 paragraphs which are small, which stick to the PREP formula, and a clear conclusion. In fact, the conclusion should be nothing but a paraphrasing of the introduction. Paraphrase, P-A-R-A-P-H-R-A-S-E. Paraphrase means to restate whatever you have said in other words. So your conclusion simply is nothing but a restatement, a paraphrasing of your introduction. Your conclusion will be broadly like this. In conclusion, we can come to the understanding that whatever you said in the introduction, write in different words. So this will be your conclusion. So totally 6 or 7 paragraphs. So there is a clear introduction, clear conclusion, body of the response of about 4 or 5 paragraphs, and each paragraph following the PREP format. So if you can do this, you will get points for O. O means an organized response. D stands for details. Now details means examples and reasons. Usually students bother about what kind of examples should I give. Now GRE is not a test of your general knowledge. So whatever you already know in sports, science, politics, whatever you know, and general examples from history, take that and correlate it. So that is about details. So details we already discussed when we were talking about A. The next criterion is A. A means addressing the topic. Now, addressing the topic would obviously mean that you should give the feel to the reader, the professors who read, that you are actually writing on the topic. See, sometimes, in fact, most of the time, the topics are pretty confusing, and students end up writing responses which are unconnected to the topic. I'm sure we all have had experiences in school where the teacher chided us, reprimanded us, huh, that this was the question and you have written some nonsense unconnected with the question. So, don't let this happen to you. Please think deeply and try to understand the topic, and definitely write on what has been mentioned as the topic, and try using synonyms of the words that the speaker has used, so that you give a strong feel to the reader that yes, it is the topic being discussed, right? So addressing the topic ante writing exactly on what you have been asked to write on. For example, I'll give you a simple topic like this. You say, conformity almost always deadens individual energy and creativity. This is one of the topics. Conformity, please make a note. CONFORMITY. Conformity almost always deadens individual energy and creativity. That's the topic. So topics will be challenging like this only. Now you must be wondering, if you are not sure what conformity is, you have no idea what's being said. So you must first make an attempt to understand what is conformity. Any idea what conformity is? So now the word conform, CONFORM. Conform means to abide by. To follow. Follow what? Traditions, customs, group norms. See, every group, whether it could be a kulam. Remember, in Hinduism we don't have any caste. Caste does not exist in Hinduism. Caste is a foreign word, it's a Portuguese word that was imposed on us. In Vedas, in the Bhagavad Gita, there is no caste. We have Jati, Kula, Varna, Gotra, which are all extremely scientific terms. So I'm not going to discuss that now here. So I don't use the word caste. But well, it has become very popular and it has acquired a negative connotation also. So casteism is a problem. Casteism is definitely a problem in our society, which means, discrimination that exists. But that has been again overgeneralized, exaggerated. So that's another problem. So it's a very sensitive issue. Now, if you belong to any particular kulam or caste, let us say, then members of that caste, they have their own rituals and protocols and procedures and traditions and customs and heritage and what to eat, what not to eat. In fact, rules about everything. These rules are not written. They are called, therefore, norms, NORM. Normative ethics. Norm means a rule, but usually the word norm also can mean an unwritten rule. So when you join any group, let us say your friends are all there, you're all in a particular group, so they will all expect you also to indulge in or behave in a manner or dress in a way that they all do. Suppose you dress differently, you have different tastes, then you run the risk of being kicked out of that group. So in order not to be thrown out of the group because of the peer pressure, P-E-E-R, peer, compare or peer means an equal. Peer pressure is what causes youngsters, adolescents to undertake bad habits. Friends say, let's have a drink, birthday party, let's get cakes and smear our faces with the cake, which is a dumb, stupid thing to do, and put candles and spit on those candles. People blow on the candles. But when you observe at a nano level, when you blow on a candle, a lot of saliva gets deposited. And so everyone is having a piece of the salivated cake of the birthday boy or girl. I think that's a very disgusting thing to do. Well, now, blowing out candles also, it symbolizes blowing out life actually. In Hinduism, we believe in lighting lamps, not blowing out lamps. So, without thinking, most people today are celebrating their birthdays in this manner which is irrational, which is totally, well, it's not good too. It's not good from the health point of view. So that's very dumb. But because the Americans do it, because the Britishers do it, because the Western culture, they all do that, we have developed a severe inferiority complex and we are imitating them. That means we are conforming to their norms. Do Americans celebrate their festivals using, the food that we make for our festivals? No. Do Americans celebrate, the Westerners, do they celebrate their festivals or birthdays using rituals and foods and things that we Hindus traditionally do? No. They don't imitate us. We imitate them. Which means we have become conformists. We are aping mindlessly. See, the American is fond of, if you go to, I've traveled extensively, America and Europe. So people wear torn jeans or, they wear middies and hot pants, and in Paris people almost go naked. Now, our youngsters are also doing that, right? Our traditional dresses, are the Americans wearing that? No, they are not. So why the hell are we imitating them? Because we have a strong inferiority complex. We are conforming to them. So much so that our office life, our personal life, everything is getting hyper-Americanized. We have become conformists. We conform to mindless Western customs. So this is something which we must get over. We are mentally colonized. What does it mean to be mentally colonized? Colonial mentality, colonial mindset, colonial history. So we Hindus have unfortunately become mentally colonized. Now the word colonized, colonial history of India. Colonialism means political domination of one country by another country. So colonial history basically means that period of time when Bharat was ruled by Britishers for 200 years and Muslims for nearly 800 years. Of course, they didn't rule the whole of the country. They ruled only in certain pockets, nevertheless. So, colonial mindset. Please make a note of this phrase. These terms are going to come up in GRE RCs. Remember, if I am discussing anything, I discuss it because reading comprehension passages have been found using these words. Unfortunately, students may sometimes think that I sound like a Hindu fanatic. Well, I am. I have no problems with that. Because being a fanatic of the truth is always better than being a fanatic of some nonsense. So anyway, that's not the case. So you can confidently listen to me, because all the words that I am going to discuss in a GRE class have clear links to the reading comprehension passages that have earlier been seen in the GRE test, in the GRE workbooks also. There is something called a big book published by ETS. Okay, I'll talk about that later. So, colonial mindset. The meaning of this phrase is feeling that the invader's culture is superior. There are many foolish Indians who have converted to those religions. And these fellows say, because they were superior, they dominated and conquered us. Which is the dumbest thing you can say. In fact, if 80% of the population in India are Hindus, it simply means that we won more wars than we lost. Every other country, they became Christianized or Islamized. Wherever both these religions went, within 50 years, Europe was Christianized. And within 15 years, Egypt, within 20 years, Iraq, within about 11 years, Persia, that is Iran, which is currently. So all of them got Islamized. India is the only country they have not been able to Christianize fully or Islamize fully. Why? Because our ancestors fought and won more battles than we lost. Right? And that is why we are still a majority Hindu. This is the only Hindu nation which has got a majority Hindu. And this is a simple inference you can draw. We have obviously won more wars, and that is why we are still in majority. Had we lost more wars, we would all be Muslims or Christians today. Right? So this is what we were not taught in history. And as a result, we have developed a colonial mindset. I am defining the word again. Colonial mindset. Colonial mindset means thinking that the culture of the invader is superior. And once you start thinking like that, then you will start imitating them. You will eat cakes, you will spit on candles, you will wear torn jeans, you will drink what Americans drink, you will eat those pizzas and burgers and God knows what all crap and junk that the Americans eat, because you think that is very hip, and very fashionable. This is the problem. You may deny it. Young people, don't like all these arguments because they think this is an assault on their freedom. Not at all. I'm asking you to think. Why are Americans not eating vada and purnam buralu, pulihara and all daddojunam? No, they don't. But we are eating their junk. Actually, our food is good. But we have developed this colonial mindset. Now, I hope you have understood the meaning of the phrase colonial mindset very, very clearly. Okay, so colonial history, ante that period of time when India was ruled by invaders. So colonial mindset, I explained that enough number of times now. So colonial history, imperialism, colonialism, hegemony, Hegemony, hegemony. Hegemony means domination. Cultural hegemony, economic hegemony, military hegemony. So all these kinds of hegemonies, Hegemony. Hegemony means domination. Imperialism means the same thing, political domination. That means one country is politically controlled by another. So India was a colony of this stupid nation called Great Britain. Great Britain was never great. You know what is the size of Great Britain? Great Britain, before the partition, Andhra, the state of Andhra, was 2,75,000 square kilometers. England, which is called Great Britain, which I think is a wretched Britain, this stupid country was, even now, it is 2,55,000 square kilometers, whereas Andhra was 2,75,000 square kilometers, which means Andhra was much bigger, at least 20,000 square kilometers bigger than UK. India is nearly 33 lakh, 33 lakshalu, 32.8 lakh square kilometers, and we allowed these rascals to rule us for 200 years. If all Indians, if all Hindus had spit on these rascals, they would have drowned in our spit. But we didn't do that. So we forgot Bhagavad Gita and we got fully colonized. Now this inferiority complex is continuing. I am strongly against imitating anything that I think is bad for health, and sounds stupid and has no philosophical basis. Our Vedic culture says, Ano Bhadra Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha. Always let noble ideas come from everywhere. I like many things about Americans. Americans are extremely hardworking and they love to live life fully. They enjoy fully, they work hard. These are two things I imitated from them. But everything else about them, sorry. I totally reject that. So we must learn something good from others, not something dumb and stupid and irrational. So when you start doing that, it means you have developed a colonial mindset, an inferiority complex, and you are mindlessly conforming to something. This mindless conformity is very dangerous. People believed their holy books and thought that the earth was flat. Well, the holy books which say that the earth is flat is the Bible and the Holy Quran. Holy Bible and Holy Quran. They have not changed it. Even now it is still there. So, whereas Vedas are clearly says that the earth is a gol, bhu golamu. So, our rishis knew that the earth is a oblong shaped elliptical object. So, now Galileo was the first person who opposed that. He was subjected to all kinds of torture. and he finally died because of the torture, and he was forced to recant. RECANT. Recant means to take back your earlier statement. So this is a simple example. If you start conforming mindlessly, when one dog barks, all dogs bark mindlessly. So this is called conformity, right? This is called herd instinct. When people start doing herd, somebody buys a car, a slightly expensive car, others have to buy the same thing or something better to show off. In students also, you buy a new phone, then you would like to flash it and show it off. And so this snobbery, SNOB, snob. What is the meaning of the word snob? Okay. Okay. A snob means a person who imitates the fashions set by the rich and looks down on the others. So that is the complete definition of the word snob. See, in our society, Americans are big snobs. We Hindus have also become terrible snobs. If somebody buys a new phone, we also have to buy the latest model. Though in our phones there are 100 apps and 100 functions which we don't use, but we still discard the old one and get a new one because we want to set the fashions. So you have stupid Bollywood Kachada wood actors who are promoting soaps and perfumes and all kinds of things, and young people, they want to buy that because they want to associate, they want to have the same things that their filmy stars or pop stars they are all wearing. And those idiots are basically idiots, and these fools will buy all the stuff that those fellows will promote. So this is called snobbery. We have all kinds of snobs, fashion snobs. If the American starts wearing torn jeans or some other, jeans, something, some crappy stuff, we have to wear that. So we have fashion snobs, we have wine snobs, we have whiskey snobs, we have food snobs. Some people say, I eat only this kind of food. I like this food, I go to that restaurant. So perfume snobs, jewelry snobs, chappal snobs, glasses, spectacles. You buy the latest, from the most costliest lens cart, vision eye, God knows what. You go to Koti, you will find for 200 rupees the same thing. I buy from the wholesaler in Koti because I am an anti-snob. I don't conform. I conform only to those things which are useful, which can enhance my success quotient in life. So I don't mindlessly conform. So again, I just gave you an entire talk. If you are able to listen carefully and then write it out in a response. See, mindless conformity to stupid, irrational, nonsensical, unscientific, benighted, backward, ignorant kind of customs is dangerous. You will become retarded, you will not be able to progress in life. But there are many good things also which you must conform to. Right? So, suppose you join a college. In a classroom also, there are many norms which you are expected to follow. When the professor is talking, you don't talk, you don't distract, you don't disturb. If you have any questions also, you should write down and simply raise a hand, so that the professor will say, okay, what's your question? Never disturb a professor who is speaking. And actually the question should be asked at the end. Because if you distract a professor who is lecturing, he will forget the train of thoughts and you will be the loser. Because a genuine professor is one who is so saturated with knowledge, once they start speaking, they will go on and on. And while we are listening, of course, there will be lots of questions that will come up, our minds will come up with. You should be a smart learner, you should note that down, never distract the professor. So these are some norms. In school, when we come late, we have to knock on the door. May I come in, sir? And if you have to go to the loo, sir, can I go to the loo? You don't do that in a college. You can do that in school. In a college, if you are late to the class, you quietly enter the class. Don't disturb the professor. If you have to leave for some emergency, you have to leave to the washroom, quietly slip from behind. So these are some unwritten norms of higher education. So you must follow that. If you follow that, so if you let us say you join a master under whom you are learning a musical instrument or some sport, a coach, or yoga, or any academic discipline also. So they will ask you to conform to certain rules, and if you don't conform, then they will probably say you can get lost, because if you don't conform to these rules, you cannot learn anything. So you may not understand those rules initially, but since you are very keen to learn, you must conform to those rules, and perhaps later you will understand why those rules are also important. So young people have a problem today. They think that they are very smart just because they know a few words in English. Their English is good. They think they know everything. And then, well, you have a right to question. But what is the attitude with which you question? Your attitude with which you question should be one of interest and learning. If you are ridiculing and mocking, no teacher will tell you. They will tell you to go to hell, get lost. So why should I bother telling you? If you have a nasty attitude, so then the teacher or professor will not tell you. So in America, if you disobey these norms, the professor will simply tell you, you can drop the credit. Your fees will be forfeited and you will lose a lot of time. So the point I am trying to make is, you must write 2 paragraphs about what one should conform to. There are many rules and laws which we must conform to. There are many unfair laws which we must protest against. There are many value systems in our culture. We must conform to that. There are many expectations of our parents, and we have certain obligations and duties towards our parents, towards our family, towards our society, and towards the nation, and towards humanity in general. You must conform to these value systems. So, what to conform to? You must write 2 paragraphs. What not to conform to? And if you conform to this nonsense, then you will be unable to progress in life. People conform because they are scared, because some stupid holy book is saying something which, if you do this, I'll kill you, I'll send you to eternal hell. This fellow will not do it. That's why he cannot progress scientifically. So, if you are writing a passage on this theme of conformity, there are at least about 10 essay topics, all revolving on the same theme of conformity. The topic is, conformity almost always deadens individual energy and creativity. Our stance should be, the speaker makes an extreme sweeping generalization, because the simple truth is, conformity of certain things is essential for our growth, while mindless conformity of irrational dogmas and superstition is bad not only for the individual but for the entire society. నా ఇంట్రొడక్షన్ అయిపోయింది. సో అంటే ఇంట్రొడక్షన్లో నేనేం చెప్పానంటే, బాబు అన్ని ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఆల్వేస్ స్కిల్స్ అంటున్నాడు. నేను ఒప్పుకోను. ఎందుకంటే జీవితంలో మన ఆచారాలు, మన తిండి, మన పద్ధతులు, మన బట్ట, మన భగవద్గీత, మన వేదాలు, మన గురువులు, మన శాస్త్రాలు, మన లీడర్సు ఎన్నో ఉన్నాయి. అందులో మంచి కూడా ఉంది. మంచిని పట్టుకొని పాటించాలి, అప్పుడే జీవితంలో పైకి వస్తావు. పనికిరానివి వదిలేయాలి. అంతేగాని వాడినెవడినో ఇమిటేట్ చేసి, వాడు చినిగిపోయిన బట్టలు వేసుకుని చెత్తంతా తింటే అది తిని ఇక్కడ థైరాయిడ్ ప్రాబ్లంలు తెచ్చుకొని వాడి దరిద్రపు హ్యాబిట్లన్నీ పోని, వాళ్ళు ఏమైనా మంచివి నేర్చుకుంటున్నావా? లేదు. సో ఇప్పుడు కన్ఫార్మిటీ మీద నువ్వు ఎస్సే రాసేటప్పుడు 2 పారాగ్రాఫ్లు ఏవి కన్ఫార్మ్ చేయకూడదో రాయాలి. 3 పారాగ్రాఫ్లు ఆర్ 2 పారాగ్రాఫ్లు ఏవి కన్ఫామ్ చేస్తే నీకు ఎనర్జీ, క్రియేటివిటీ, ఏది కన్ఫామ్ చేస్తే నువ్వు ఫస్ట్ జ్ఞానం వస్తే క్రియేటివిటీ, నువ్వు సబ్జెక్ట్ని మాస్టరీ చేస్తే క్రియేటివిటీ తర్వాత వస్తుంది. ఏమీ రాదు క్రియేటివిటీ అంటే ఐడిల్ మ్యాన్స్ బ్రెయిన్ ఇస్ ద డెవిల్స్ వర్క్షాప్. సో మైండ్లెస్ క్రియేటివిటీ పనికిరాదు. క్రియేటివిటీ ఎప్పుడు వస్తుంది? క్రియేటివిటీకి అసలు ప్రాసెస్ ఏంటి? నువ్వు క్రియేటివిటీ ప్రాసెస్ మీద రీసెర్చ్ చేసావనుకో, సైకాలజీలో ఏం చెప్తారు తెలుసా? ఫస్ట్ స్టేజ్, ఇది కూడా రాయొచ్చు, కన్ఫార్మిటీ ఉంటేనే క్రియేటివిటీ వస్తుంది అని ఒక పారాగ్రాఫ్ రాసేవనుకో, ప్రొఫెసర్ విల్ బి వెరీ గ్లాడ్. వావ్! సో వాట్ ఆర్ ద స్టేజెస్? యూ విల్ రైట్ 1 paragraph. We must also understand that conformity is what leads to creativity. Full stop. In other words, conformity to certain things is essential for us to stimulate our creativity. if we study the stages of creativity, we will understand why that is so. Full stop. See, the first stage of creativity is saturation. That means, suppose you are an engineer. What is your stream? IT. Okay. So, IT, information technology. So, in information technology, how many books have you read? What are the latest trends worldwide? Are you aware of that? What are the best IT magazines in the world? Do you subscribe? Or do you at least read that? IT related stuff. And what is the specific area within IT you are specializing? How much research have you done? If you have not done anything, that means, you will definitely succeed, no doubt, but you will take a much more longer time. You don't have that hunger. You are not driven. You don't have that passion. So, you must saturate yourself. For example, in GRE Verbal, I am the coach for the last 23 years. I have saturated myself. I have bought every book in the market. Any book that is released anywhere, I buy it. From Amazon, Flipkart. In fact, I travel abroad, I buy. I have a huge library. I have soaked up all the vocabulary necessary for GRE. I know everything that is necessary for a student to know in order to get a good score in GRE. I have reached that stage of saturation. See, once the saturation stage is over, then the next stage is called incubation. The hen sits on the egg, sort of. That's an analogy. So, incubation. So, when all this knowledge is there, suddenly the next stage appears, which is called epiphany. EPIPHANY. Again, a very important GRE word. Epiphany means a flash of insight, sudden illumination, sudden enlightenment, sudden knowledge. For example, epiphany has a second meaning. Epiphany means incarnation of God in human form. The resurrection of Jesus Christ in the Bible is called epiphany. EPIPHANY. So, now, suppose you have forgotten your password and you might be trying very hard to recollect, but you cannot. So, while you are doing something else, suddenly you get it. That's called an epiphany. I hope you understood the word epiphany now. So, first stage is saturation, second is incubation, third is epiphany, then verification, modification, application, technology. That is how new technology is born. How do you think Chinese are producing Japanese, Korean, Germans? Why are they so creative? Why we Indians are dumb? Because we are not saturating ourselves with the knowledge in our area of specialization. We are mindlessly following them. If you want to be truly creative, a creative genius, first soak up all the knowledge that is there in your area. And if you don't do that, you will always be a follower. You will end up living the life of a conformist. You cannot be a non-conformist. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed listening to what all I said. సో ఇప్పుడు ఈ కన్ఫార్మిటీ ఎస్సే గురించి చాలా చెప్పాను. ఇంట్రొడక్షన్లో ఏం రాస్తావు? అన్ని ఫార్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ కన్ఫార్మిటీ మంచివి కాదు అనడం తప్పు. కొన్ని మంచివి, వాటిని పాటించాలి. కొన్ని మంచివి కాదు, వాటిని పాటించకూడదు. అది నీ ఇంట్రడక్షన్. అదే మాట ఇంగ్లీష్లో 4 సెంటెన్స్లో రాస్తే కన్క్లూజన్. మధ్యలో 4-5 పారాగ్రాఫ్లో 2-3లో ఏది పాటించాలి, ఏవేవి పాటించాలి, లా పాటించాలి, రూల్ పాటించాలి, విలువలు పాటించాలి, మంచి కస్టమ్స్ పాటించాలి, హెల్తీ ఫుడ్ తినడం పాటించాలి, అది రాసుకుంటూ రావాలి. 3 పారాగ్రాఫ్లో పిచ్చి కూతలు, పిచ్చి రాతలు, హోలీ బుక్ అంటారు. ఆ హోలీ బుక్లో చూస్తే లెచరీ, బుచ్చరీ, ట్రెచరీ, బిగటరీ, అబ్సర్డిటీ, ఈ చెత్త పెంట అంతా పాటిస్తే సమాజం సర్వనాశనం అయిపోతుంది. ఏది పాటించకూడదు. సైంటిఫిక్ టెంపర్మెంట్ డెవలప్ చేసుకోవాలి. మన ఫండమెంటల్ డ్యూటీస్లో ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్లో నంబర్ 8. ఫండమెంటల్ డ్యూటీస్ ఎన్ని ఉన్నాయి మనకి ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్లో? ఫండమెంటల్ డ్యూటీస్ మనకి 11 ఉన్నాయమ్మా. 11. అందులో 8th one చెప్తున్నా. టు డెవలప్ ఎ సైంటిఫిక్ టెంపర్మెంట్, స్పిరిట్ ఆఫ్ ఇంక్వైరీ, హ్యూమనిజం అండ్ రిఫార్మ్. స్పిరిట్ ఆఫ్ ఇంక్వైరీ, INQUIRY. ఇంక్వైరీ అంటే, ద వర్డ్ ఇంక్వైరీ హ్యాస్ 2 meanings. Inquiry means detailed investigation. Inquiry also means enquiry, asking for information. Humanism, మూడో వర్డ్, ఫండమెంటల్ డ్యూటీ నెంబర్ 8 ఇది. సైంటిఫిక్ టెంపర్మెంట్. టెంపర్మెంట్ అన్న వర్డ్ మీనింగ్ ఏంటి? అవుట్లుక్, హ్యాబిచువల్ మూడ్. సో సైంటిఫిక్ టెంపర్మెంట్ డెవలప్ చేసుకోవాలి. స్పిరిట్ ఆఫ్ ఇంక్వైరీ. ఇంక్వైరీ అంటే ఏమిటి? ఇన్వెస్టిగేషన్, డీటెయిల్డ్. ఏదో చెప్పేస్తే ఎవడో నమ్మేసి ఆ గుడికి వెళ్ళి తిరిగితే వీసా వస్తుంది, ఆ బొంద దగ్గర పోయి ఏడిస్తే వీసా వస్తుంది, పిచ్చి వెధవల్లాగా ఇవన్నీ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. అరే బుద్ధుందా అసలు? భగవంతుడు అన్నవాడు, హౌ కెన్ గాడ్ బీ మోర్ ఇడియాటిక్ దెన్ అస్? గాడ్ మస్ట్ బీ స్మార్టర్ దెన్ అస్. సో ఇఫ్ యూ ఆర్ ఫాలోయింగ్ సమ్ స్టూపిడ్ రూల్స్ అండ్ థింకింగ్ దట్ గాడ్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బీ ప్లీజ్డ్, then you are actually dragging God to a level below yours. So హ్యూమనిజం అంటే ఏమిటి? హ్యూమనిజం మీద ఆర్సీ ప్యాసేజ్లు పడ్డాయి. హ్యూమనిజం అంటే బిలీవింగ్ దట్ ఎవ్రీ పాలసీ, ఎవ్రీ యాక్షన్ దట్ వీ అండర్టోక్ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ ఓన్లీ వన్ కన్సిడరేషన్: హౌ డస్ ఇట్ బెనిఫిట్ మ్యాన్కైండ్, హౌ డస్ ఇట్ బెనిఫిట్ సొసైటీ. If there is a conflict between this idea and a holy book, discard the holy book. This philosophy is called humanism and reform. ఇది మన ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్లో 11 ఫండమెంటల్ డ్యూటీస్ ఉన్నాయి. ఫండమెంటల్ రైట్స్ 6 ఉన్నాయి. ఫండమెంటల్ రైట్స్ 6 ఉన్నాయి, కానీ ఎప్పుడు అందరూ రైట్స్ గురించే మాట్లాడతారు. డ్యూటీస్ గురించి మనకి స్కూల్లో కూడా చెప్పలేదు. 11 ఉన్నాయి. అందులో 8th ఎంత ఇంపార్టెంట్ అది చెప్పనే లేదు. అందుకే సన్నాసి వల్ల తయారయ్యాం మనం. సో ఇప్పుడు మనం ఏం రాయాలి? ఇవన్నీ పాటించాలి, ఇటువంటివి పాటించాలి. ఏవేవి పాటిస్తే నీలో క్రియేటివిటీ పెరుగుతుంది, అప్పుడు నువ్వు జీవితంలో ఏదైనా సాధిస్తావు, సెల్ఫ్ యాక్చువలైజ్ చేయగలుగుతావు అని రాయాలి. ఇలా ఎస్సే రాస్తే ఇప్పుడు GODAVలో వి అంటే వొకాబులరీ. అట్లీస్ట్ ఒక 10 మంచి వర్డ్స్ని బట్టి కొట్టి ఎస్సేలో రాస్తే అప్పుడు ప్రొఫెసర్ వాటికి ఆ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ కూడా పాయింట్స్ వేస్తుంది. అప్పుడు నీకు 6కి అట్లీస్ట్ ఒక 4.5 అన్నా రావచ్చు. ఇప్పుడు ఐఎమ్ రిపీటింగ్ ద టాపిక్ అగైన్. సో ఇవాల్టి క్లాసు, ఈ రికార్డింగ్ నేను ఇప్పుడు ఆపుతాను, ఇది యూట్యూబ్లో పెట్టేస్తాను నేను ఇది. సో టాపిక్ ఏంటి? కన్ఫార్మిటీ ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఆల్వేస్ డెడ్ ఎండ్స్ ఇండివిజువల్ ఎనర్జీ అండ్ క్రియేటివిటీ. ఇది రాసుకో, దీని మీద ఎస్సే రాయి. నేను చెప్పినట్టుగా GODAV క్రైటీరియా. G అంటే గ్రామర్, O అంటే ఆర్గనైజ్డ్ రెస్పాన్స్, D అంటే డీటెయిల్స్, A అంటే అడ్రస్సింగ్ ద టాపిక్, V అంటే వొకాబులరీ. ఇవన్నీ గుర్తుపెట్టుకుని బుద్ధిగా శ్రద్ధగా కూర్చొని వాట్సాప్లో టెక్స్ట్ టైప్ చేసుకుంటూ, దీనికి అట్లీస్ట్ నీ గంటన్నర పడుతుంది. ఎందుకంటే మనకి రైటింగ్ ప్రాక్టీస్ అసలే లేదు. రైటింగ్ అంటే ఏమనుకోవద్దు, నథింగ్ పర్సనల్ హియర్. డోంట్ గెట్ యువర్ ఈగో ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్, బీ లెర్నింగ్ ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్. ఇఫ్ యూ గెట్ యువర్ ఈగో ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్, దెన్ దెర్ విల్ బి నో లెర్నింగ్. ఐఎమ్ ఓల్డ్ ఇనఫ్ టు బీ యువర్ గ్రాండ్ ఫాదర్. ఐఎమ్ 65. సో వాట్ వాజ్ ఐ టెలింగ్ యూ? ఐ ఫర్గాట్. సో చక్కగా కూర్చొని ఒక గంటన్నర 2 గంటలు టైం తీసుకో. డిస్ట్రాక్ట్ అవ్వకుండా ఇయర్ ప్లగ్స్ పెట్టుకో. ఇయర్ మఫ్స్ కొనుక్కో కావాలంటే, సికింద్రాబాద్లో దొరుకుతాయి. ఇయర్ మఫ్ అంటే ఇండస్ట్రియల్ ఇయర్ మఫ్స్ నా దగ్గర ఉన్నాయి, చూపిస్తా తర్వాత. ఓ 500 రూపీస్ పెడితే అది సౌండ్ని మొత్తం బ్లాక్ చేసి పడేస్తుంది. యూ విల్ లివ్ ఇన్ ఏ కంప్లీట్ పర్ఫెక్ట్ సైలెన్స్. సో అది పెట్టుకొని శ్రద్ధగా ఫస్ట్ ఎస్సే నువ్వు రాసేవంటే నాకు పంపిస్తే, నీ ఇంగ్లీష్ ఏ లెవెల్లో ఉంది, నేను చెప్పిన రూల్స్ నువ్వు ఎంత బాగా పాటిస్తున్నావు, రేపు నీకు ETS వాడు ఎంత స్కోర్ ఇవ్వగలడు, ఈ ప్రెడిక్షన్లు కూడా నేను చెప్తా. ఆ తర్వాత నువ్వు ఏమేమి ఇంప్రూవ్ చేసుకోవాలి నేను ఫీడ్బ్యాక్ ఇస్తా. ఇది చేయలేదనుకో, నా స్టూడెంట్స్ నేను చెప్తున్నా కదా 99% చేయరు, కానీ నా పని ఏంటి? టీచ్ చేయాలి. సో నేను టీచ్ చేస్తే మంచిది. ఎందుకంటే భగవద్గీతలో కూడా శ్రీకృష్ణుడు అందుకే చెప్తాడు, ఎండ్ని నీకు చెప్పాల్సినవన్నీ చెప్పాను, నీకు ఏది నచ్చితే అది చేయి అంటాడు. అందుకని శ్రీకృష్ణుడు మా గురువు గారు కాబట్టి నేను చెప్పాల్సినవన్నీ చెప్తా. నువ్వు చేస్తే మంచిది, మళ్ళీ కూడా కావాలంటే చెప్తా. చేయకపోతే నాకేం కోపం రాదు, నీ ఇష్టం. ఇట్ ఈస్ యువర్ లైఫ్. సో అవర్ డిస్కషన్ ఫర్ టుడే ఆన్ దిస్ Ava is over. I am signing off now. I don't say hello and all that. I greet people with Jai Shri Ram. That's why people call me Jai Shri Ram, and nobody knows my actual name. People call me Jai Shri Ram. In my entire village, people think that my name is Jai Shri Ram. So, Jai Shri Ram, I'm signing off. Don't worry, we'll continue the class now. This is going to be posted on YouTube. You can listen to this again. Thank you very much. Jai Shri Ram.